Welcome everybody to GG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jaguar9 representing the 904 from the 602. Obviously, you might notice this is a very different setup than what I usually have. I'm out in the studio right now. I am actually in Detroit. I am filming this on my bed in the hotel room, about to head to the NFL draft later tonight, where I'll be for all 3 days. Figured to get this video out right before I leave because I found some news that the Jaguars are interested in a very interesting quarterback that they might take at some point during this draft. According to reports, the Jaguars interested in former Oklahoma and South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler. Now, I want to break down this move. I spoke about Rattler's stats before. I talked about it in a video where he was getting interest from the Houston Texans. Go check that video out. I'll leave a link in the upper right corner and a link in the description down below. But I want to break this down for Jacksonville because I'm not sure this move makes a ton of sense. I don't know why the Jaguars would use a top 30 visit on the guy. Again, for those who don't know what top 30 visit is, top 30 visit doesn't mean they're a top 30 player on your board. All it means is that you're allowed 30 visits to non-local prospects, and the Jaguars are using one of those 30 visits on Spencer Rattler. Now, I have no problem with the Jaguars taking a quarterback. I think the Jaguars should take a quarterback at some point during this draft. Obviously not super high. Obviously, I'm not saying draft a quarterback round 1. I'm not saying draft a quarterback day 2. I'm not saying even draft a quarterback round 4 or 5. But round 6 or 7, I think it makes a ton of sense for the Jaguars to take a quarterback. And there is a big reason for that, and that is the rule change about the 53-man roster, how many quarterbacks you can carry on the roster. Now, they added the third quarterback rule last year, but under the rule with the third quarterback, the third emergency quarterback, you had to promote that quarterback from the practice squad to the 53-man roster for it to count. Now they changed the rule where you can promote the third quarterback directly from the practice squad, and he doesn't have to take up a 53-man roster spot. So there's no reason for teams not to have 3 quarterbacks on a game day roster at all times, because even if you only carry 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, you have one on the practice squad, you can promote him from the practice squad, doesn't take up a spot on the 53-man roster, and you go into a game with 3 quarterbacks. So it makes complete sense why the Jaguars should draft a quarterback round 6 or round 7, because here's the thing. Right now, the Jaguars have 3 quarterbacks. Right now, you got Trevor Lawrence, obviously he was your starter. Mac Jones, you just traded for him a few weeks ago from the New England Patriots. He's going to be your number 2 for this year. CJ Beathard, he's probably gone. There's no reason for you to trade for Mac Jones if you like what CJ Beathard's doing. Now, we can criticize the trade for Mac Jones all we want. We can say this move didn't make a whole lot of sense, that CJ Beathard is a fine backup. He looked fine against Cincinnati when he came in, almost led that game-winning drive in overtime before it was negated by a holding penalty. He looked fine against Carolina. Didn't do anything special, but he did make some nice throws, didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Granted, it was against the Carolina Panthers, but he looked fine in that game. Having said that, maybe if they had more faith in CJ Beathard, Trevor Lawrence would not have played through that injury, which might have cost the Jaguars a good chunk of their season in December at the very end of it. So, obviously, they're not crazy about CJ Beathard. He's probably gone. There's no way you're keeping 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. You can't put CJ Beathard on the practice squad. You can't put Mac Jones on the practice squad. So you're going to carry 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. And it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, and barring anything crazy, it's going to be Mac Jones. CJ Beathard doesn't fit into the mix. CJ Beathard will not go on the practice squad. He will not fit. You're not going to have a guy making $3 million going on the practice squad. Just wouldn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, especially because the Jaguars, with their cap space, they might want to do some other stuff with that money instead of having it on a third-string quarterback. On top of that, you want to develop a guy for the future because Mac Jones only has 1 year left on his contract. You figure this is going to be just a 1-year rental. Obviously, the Jags could pick up the 5th-year option if they're really stupid. They could pick it up and pay him $25 million. Obviously, that is not going to happen. So I completely get the Jaguars wanting to draft a rookie quarterback this year, not having to rely on an undrafted free agent, draft a rookie quarterback, have him on the practice squad, have him be the 3rd-string guy, and then if he develops well, he's your backup next year once Mac Jones is gone. Obviously, CJ Beathard won't be on the roster. The problem with getting a guy like Spencer Rattler is I don't think you'll be able to do that. The Jaguars don't keep 3 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. They just don't. But basically, it's not happened under Doug Peterson. It's not happened under Trent Baalke. It rarely happens with Shad Khan as the owner. It has been a while since the last time it happened. And if you draft Spencer Rattler, he's not going to survive the 53-man roster cuts on the practice squad. You want to draft a quarterback that obviously has potential that you like, but at the same time will not get claimed by a team to go on their 53-man roster, and you can stash on the practice squad for a bit. Otherwise, you're just wasting your pick. And I don't see how Spencer Rattler fits that, because Spencer Rattler is probably be a round 4, round 5 pick at the absolute worst. The Jaguars drafted him. He's obviously got some potential based on how he played at times at Oklahoma and South Carolina. Teams really seem to like him. You draft the guy, you cut him after the initial cuts because you're only keeping Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones in the 53, and some team's going to claim him, and then the plan goes out the window, and then you just wasted a draft pick. So I can't see how Spencer Rattler fits into this mix whatsoever for Jacksonville. I get the plan here, but I think if you're going to do it, it needs to be with a quarterback in round 6 or round 7. It needs to be with a guy that is not going to be a high draft pick, that is going to have a good chance of surviving the 53-man roster cuts and getting stashed on the practice squad that way and not getting claimed on waivers by someone else. Someone like Plumlee from UCF. I'm not saying I want to draft a guy like Plumlee, but someone like Plumlee from UCF. Someone like Hardison from UTEP. Someone like Hires from Samford, who the Jaguars have met with as part of their top 30 visit, and I think that actually makes a ton of sense because I think he's a guy that you could draft and he would survive waivers and not get claimed by another team on the initial cuts. I just don't see how Spencer Rattler would fit into that mix. Again, it's not a knock on Rattler and his play. It's not a knock on that whatsoever, even though the stats and the play were highly inconsistent. I think that's putting it very lightly between his time at Oklahoma and South Carolina. But if the Jags want to get a third quarterback, I don't think Spencer Rattler is the right move. I don't think it makes a ton of sense. I don't think it's the right idea, considering unless you keep 3 on the 53, which I can't see the Jags doing. I think with the new rule change, the Jaguars will keep 2 on the 53, promote a third-string quarterback from the practice squad, and go from there. And I just don't see how Spencer Rattler fits on the practice squad. Again, doing this without any notes, anything in front of me, no monitor, no nothing. I'm filming this on an iPhone right now. I'm filming this on an iPhone. Just got to make do with what you got. Got to make do with what you got with the NFL draft in the hotel room. But we will see. I'm going to have a lot of content coming out throughout the week as well. We'll see what the Jaguars do tonight. I'm hoping to trade up and get Rome, but if the Jags hold, my guess is going to be Terry and Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm guessing we're going to get one of the cornerbacks. If we keep the pick, if we trade up, it's going to be for Rome. That's my guess. But Spencer Rattler, not obviously going to go tonight. Probably not going to go day 2, but a target for the Jaguars day 3, according to reports. What are your thoughts on the Jaguars' strategy going into the draft? Do you think Spencer Rattler could be a good quarterback? Do you think he's going to flame out? Do you think it makes sense for the Jaguars to draft a quarterback at some point? Do you think it makes sense for them to draft Rattler? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check my main channel, Jaguars-Rattler, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguars-Rattler signing off. And as always, go Jags and enjoy the draft, everyone.